Good morning, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Welcome to another episode of Unboxing HubSpot. Today we are joined by Sarah and Francis from the calling team. Can I call it that? Sarah and Francis?
Yeah, omni-channel, but calling works too.
Omnichannel. I like that. I like that better. Also, my good friend Zach Hushin from our show Value First Revenue, my go-to sales guy. I guess it's simple as that. Zach, how are we doing today?
Are you just going to reduce me down to just the simple sales guy?
I know.
Ouch.
Wow. You embrace it.
I know. I am a sales guy at heart, but I'm also a marketing nerd at heart too. You know, I'm torn between these two worlds.
Oh, should it even be two worlds? I think that's another
well. I'm trying to
conversation.
converge them into one world. That's my mission.
Yes. But we're here today to unbox and show off all the cool things. And I'm saying cool things like I'm a guy who doesn't really enjoy picking up the phone. So, but I do appreciate what's been happening as we do the update show in the mornings, all the calling features, like all the dialers. Like I know that stuff is so important for supporting teams, especially as we jump into this world of AI, where we're trying to just get all like data capture at all costs. Let's get it all in the system. I have some clients that are excited about moving into these calling tools, so I'm here to learn, just like everybody else. And I appreciate Sarah and Francis you joining us today.
I have to say that I am a fan of the phone, and unlike Chris, so I've always promoted not hiding behind email, getting on the phone, having those conversations. So it'll be fun for Chris and I to pick on each other a little bit here as we have very different viewpoints on calling and our comfort levels there.
Yeah. So we're just gonna dive right in, and because like in true unboxing fashion, so I'm on my home screen here. I see, there's been a little bit of setup because we use this portal to support voicemails that we get on our HubSpot helpline show, which is later today. And I've been doing that. The ways that I've been getting to that after setup is there's usually some notifications, but also like coming over here, like into calls, again, kind of the master index screen. And if I, check this filters, got some calls here, but also, keeping it easy. We've got the phone button up here is what I want to click on. So I'm going to click there. You can answer incoming calls and look up your caller CRM records right here in your HubSpot workspace. If I click on learn more, brings me to the call setup area. Is this okay to start here? Like tell me what we're seeing that you guys are excited about, as much as we can be excited about like settings, like what are we seeing here?
Yeah, settings aren't super exciting, but it's that entry point to make sure, ideally you set this up one time, you're done, and your calling operations are flowing pretty seamless. So to get started here, you essentially, we have two options for you to bring over your existing number. I know that's a big deal for companies that are established. You don't want to lose those lines that you have history and branding on. So we introduced porting the top of this year for US numbers, and then we expanded it inbound to global numbers. So we offer porting for up to 14, 15 countries right now. And then you have the option to also get a HubSpot number, which is, if you're starting net new or you have some new teams you're onboarding, you can go ahead and acquire a HubSpot number. And the value of those lines is you get inbound and outbound, that bi-directional calling. You'll have access to our team calling features like calling inside of an inbox, calling inside of help desk, our service space, access to our tools like IVR if you have that inbound call routing needs for our enterprise packages. And as Francis is going to speak to in a little bit, you'll also have the ability to use some of like our power dialer and voicemail drop features. So we can go through those. But starting with the number is the central point.
So just to kind of help, I guess the listeners understand a little bit, when you're talking about porting over your number, you're talking about your cell phone, your direct line at your office, whatever that may be, right? And then using the HubSpot number, that HubSpot provided phone number, gives you some of those native advantages right off the bat in terms of kind of that bi-directional versus if you were to set up your cell phone or your office phone, there's a few more steps involved is kind of what you're getting at.
So I want to keep them both in the same lens. They're both essentially become HubSpot numbers. So when you
Okay.
port a number, that also it becomes a HubSpot number. So the value unlocked with the porting and the get a HubSpot number, they're both the same. So
Both the same. Okay.
You can acquire the number or port it. It's both the same. I also would just like to add a little bit of a context there. I know we offer starter packages. We do have small teams that use it, but ideally the porting is B2B. We've run into some issues with customers porting their individual Verizon owned number. They're like, hey, that's my personal line and I ported it. So ideally don't do that if that's your only number. This is more like B2B, port that number over if it's your business use case number, not your personal cell phone that your kids are going to call you on. So ideally.
So what about, so like I know a lot of sales reps that they only have one phone.
Yep.
It's their personal phone and they use that number at, every job that they've ever worked at. I mean, I still get calls on my cell phone from jobs I worked at, years ago. It's funny whenever I get those still. So are you recommending that if you have like your personal and business on your cell phone, that maybe you would use your office direct dial instead of your mobile phone? What happens when you're using your mobile phone out in the field, but you're tied to your office phone at work? Like, how does that, what's that scenario look like?
Yeah, if a sales reps are using their personal lines, again, ideally we don't want you porting your personal line over to using HubSpot. So they can use the mobile app to place their inbound and outbound calls and not have those logs. So they can still do that on their personal device.
Mm-hmm.
We don't quite have the ability yet to do like an extension dial from a HubSpot owned number. There are some potential options to do a forwarding aspect if they wanted to, but for the sales use case, what we've seen in some uses is have the sales rep still use their personal line, but you can also acquire a HubSpot number for them to use if depending on what call direction or what team they're managing. So if they are going to get a good amount of volume in HubSpot or they're working inside of the app, then just have them get a HubSpot number, use that as that, and then use the alternative personal line when they're on the go.
That's good advice. I like that. We run into that a lot with reps connecting their personal cell phone on that. But I can certainly see the advantages of how you position it. And the mobile app is, getting better and better. And I think it's just so easy to make calls through that as well. So there's definitely, ways to handle this, I think, the right way. And you outlaid it, pretty well there. So thanks.
Awesome. So I've got a number now. I did notice as I looked over to port a number, I'm in a different settings area. Can you just talk me through the difference between these two things?
The two portals?
The two settings. Like, this is often a challenge when working with HubSpot, like especially admins, of where is the place that I should be managing these things. And there's like multiple different ways to get to settings in the system. Obviously, we've got a little bit more stuff going on over here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So the way
that's in like the general preferences, right?
Yeah.
For the individual.
Way that's kind of bucketed is like, that top section is like, that's the rep user preference, individual level one-on-one. There's usually not as many admin scopes or like restrictions here. So your reps can come in here and like set their individual call working hours. They can set their ring preference if they want to be rung in the browser or if they want to be rung on their personal device. And then they can see, well, the minutes are still like portal wide, but they can see that data. The ability to register their personal number, that still exists. That is going to be sunset in some time, just because there's a lot of spam issues and regulatory blocks that occur on those registered numbers. So while customers may still see this in preferences, I just want to kind of give a little bit of a heads up that functionality is usually not what we recommend going to. So that's why we're not calling that section out. If you scroll up just a little bit, Chris, yeah, that area there, add a phone number. So that's a rep level setting. They can add their personal device, but that's where it's only for outbound. And again, there's a lot of restrictions with that. So we generally don't want to drive customers there and have them work on more of the admin level. So this is user level. The section you were at before, the call setup, that's more admin. That's going to set up the full, hey, this is the number for my team calling. This is my number for my IVR. These are my regional wide settings. This is how I can see all of my minutes across the portal. That's the difference in those two areas.
Cool.
Awesome. I do love this granularity here for work hours. I was just playing with. I noticed as I had Monday through Friday, 9 to 10, as I wanted to add more granularity, I could only select from that. So I opened that up to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And now I can get more granular on a daily basis, which I think there's a lot of power in this in terms of as a user, especially like you mentioned, omni-channel, like Francis, like, are you guys seeing like probably the highest value, like if a company decides to be omni-channel, how do you see, like, maybe this is one of those things, but how are people not getting overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, I think that when we look at that omni-channel lens, we have sales reps who typically you are working as an individual. You can set up, this is for inbound calling specifically. So when can people reach you? Same thing with inbound call preferences. You can switch that from browser to mobile app, or even just forward it to a regular number. But yeah, this gives you a lot of control over your day-to-day working. And then if you're part of a support team, something like a help desk, where they also have concepts for channel working hours. So let's say the phone lines are closed on weekends, but chat and other channels are open. These settings play into that pretty well too. So we give users a decent amount of control over how they want to work, but it still flows into the larger workspaces if there is one as well.
Do you find that you like run into conflicts with how sales may want to use the calling features, and then how like a customer success or customer service team would want to use the features, and then they're kind of running into these compromises that they have to make? So like, can you set different settings for different teams at all at this point that would allow them to kind of still use the system in their own way, which is one of the things that's great about HubSpot?
Yeah, 100%. I think that the main concept to think about is a phone number itself is either assigned to an individual or to a team. So if you scroll up a little bit, we can see here that, Chris, you're part of the HubSpot helpline, but this is connected to just you, Chris, in that middle column. If this was connected to a shared support line somewhere in help desk or inbox, that would change here. And so you have kind of these granular channel settings where Chris might have his voicemail or his consent message set to a recording or his own voice, but then a channel might have something a little bit more involved. So yeah, these settings kind of scale up to fit the entity that the channel is connected to. So if it's a team, there's channel settings that fit into the workspace. They get even more granular there with, what happens at the ticket level in help desk versus if you're an individual and this is your number, you get pretty granular control here as well.
Including your friendly neighborhood customer agent as an option. Tell me about that, please. I'm very interested in what.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're. I'm wondering why you can't assign there. So it's still in beta. Just a preface there. I'll have to take a look at the assignment there. It's the beauty of doing things live. But yeah, for a customer agent, we, as people are maybe aware, that's one of our core agents here at HubSpot, really allowing you to streamline those inbound processes, all of those frequently asked questions. Instead of using 100% of your live human reps on mundane questions, you can set up your knowledge-based sources, websites, things that you already have in your CRM because you're using those for other channels and other hubs. You can just use those, and we'll be able to plug that AI agent to those channels. So right now, it's live for live chat and email. The calling channel was added in beta in Q2, and we are still in beta right now, but we're exploring potentially sometime in 2026, making it fully available for everyone. So currently, I don't know if I'm able to share just a little quickly.
Yeah. Chris, were you looking to see if the agent was like a user in the portal now?
Well, that's where it took me to try and solve for that grayed out agent. Which makes sense. I've talked to several people on the team as it relates to permissioning of the agents themselves. Like it makes sense to kind of treat them like another user of the system. So what the instruction was when I clicked on that link was it needed a seat right? To be
Yeah.
able to access this, which makes sense.
Yeah, and this is great. So that's a great call out. I think it's something we can definitely look into to have it more, again, almost like having those distinct features for the AI agent. Don't treat it completely separate. But as of right now, the settings for it live under customer agent. So again, everything that you have in terms of the knowledge sources, the agent's identity that is used across all of the channels that you're going to connect to the agent. Actions, the ability to hand off. So how do you want that routed? If the AI agent can't actually answer the questions, all of those settings are going to live in the customer agent side. So for my case, we do have a calling channel set up on here. Again, ideally where it's going to really benefit those omni-channel type teams is you can plug in, again, your live chat and email and have multiple channels deploying agents. And then you can obviously see the performance, the resolution rate. You can also see knowledge gaps, things that are impairing the ability for that agent to reach that resolution rate. And you can track all of that in the customer agent segment here. I can do a quick call if you want to kind of hear where we are. Just a quick caveat: we know that the voice options, we're still currently working on those to get those a little more streamlined. I know a lot of our customers are using other tools in the world of AI right now. So
baby steps, folks.
Yeah,
got to start somewhere.
The basic ability for it to do an inbound call, just give like a quick 10
Yeah,
seconds.
that's great. Let's do it.
Yeah, I was unaware of this until this week, so I'm very excited to see this.
And I probably should have done a full.
I think did you demo some of the stuff on the admin hug earlier this summer too a little bit?
I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
It was before inbound. So there's like, your brain before inbound and your brain after inbound.
After
Everything
inbound,
before
yeah.
inbound. I don't know what happened.
I think we did at some point. Yeah. Or Sarah sent her agent.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something earlier this summer before inbound that that you guys were demoing some of the stuff. So it's cool to see what's happened now after inbound.
Well, the power dialer was a big deal when it came out. So maybe if Sarah's doing some setup here, are you ready to call?
Yeah, I just wanted to show the inbound call tab being open for anyone. It's a big piece we'll touch on.
You've reached the Grayson Hotel. Your call is being recorded for the ultimate satisfaction.
All right, this is great demos. Let's try again.
Beta, folks.
Grayson Hotel. Your call is being recorded for the ultimate satisfaction.
Hi, I'm calling about hotel reservations.
Yes, hi. Tell me more about your call. Your reservation needs.
What is the expected behavior here? Just so we know.
Yeah, my apologies. So, okay, this is the great thing of demoing live. So ideally, because I have this agent set up, and let me see if I can show the identity here. I have the voice set, I have the personality set, and I have all of the knowledge sources, which for this case, we just used, where are my URLs? Just use the URLs from the website. So that agent should be responding saying, hi, I'm AI agent with Grayson Hotel. It'll start the welcome message off in English. And then from there, as soon as I start speaking and inquiring about reservations or room rates, et cetera, as long as that information is in those sources, it should be able to resolve them. Also wanted to show, like, if you use a trigger word, if you say,
I want to talk to, I want to book a reservation or I want to talk to an agent. It'll just kind of route you that way.
Fire alarm, like the room, it's going off in my room. Just any keyword that they put on there, then it'll immediately transfer to your live rep. So
right.
The
mini bar is empty.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the real.
No, I do love like seeing the granularity of settings related to customer agent. Really, you can get it to work in the way that you need to as a business. You just have to take the time to understand how you want it to work. And as you're talking to people about this ability to use the agent in this way, how maybe can you speak to like some, it's hard to say best practices yet because all of this is brand new, but just some things that are resonating with customers as far as when to use humans, when to use like customer agents. Take us through that.
Yeah, so a few of our beta customers that have fully implemented on the agent, they're finding success with their workflows using almost like an after hours agent. So they have staffing during the day. They just want to build the trust with their customers into this new agent space. And so they've implemented for their overnight hours, and they're finding that the agent resolution rate is performing fairly well. I believe it's a little bit over 50% for one of the portals that has it plugged in. And again, it's answering those frequently asked questions overnight, and they're able to see the resolution. They're able then to go into help desk and see the ticket. My apologies, I should have showed you the full actions of how this comes into.
I think it's important the way that you position that too, because it's like they're not just jumping into it and saying we're replacing all the humans with the bots
Right.
Day one. I think it'd be smart to say, hey, we're not going to do this for a while. Let's, like Chris says all the time, baby steps. 50% is pretty cool, but it's not the same level as what the humans are doing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you don't want to add a whole bunch of friction unnecessarily. So I think that's the point is test these things, experiment, have a plan to roll them out, slowly, but, make sure you're not just rushing into these things just to try to be first to do it. Just proceed with caution. These are really awesome tools, but it's like they do take a good amount of setup and testing and training before you're going to really see that, the results that you're looking for. So if you just push this out day one, you're probably not going to be super happy about what's going on, and neither will your clients, right?
Yeah. So let's find those 0% situations where there's no human there. So no tickets are getting resolved.
Right.
And 50% is a lot better than 0% for sure.
Yep. Exactly. That's smart.
And then the alternative, there's also another beta user who because it's dependent on which channel you apply the agent to. So they have a phone number that is not as high volume for some of their other channels. So they're starting with some of those lower volume phone numbers and then just using it there. So also, if you don't have any tracking in place right now to kind of know what type of questions your customers are asking, this is, again, a great area to start with the agent. So you can see, hey, of the tickets that are coming in that are assigned to my AI Grace and Concierge, how many of them are being resolved? And if they're being resolved, then you can kind of see, okay, our content and the answers and things that we have in our sources are working. Again, that's the great beauty of just testing this out, just giving it a try, see how it's working with those lower volume segments, or the segments where you do know that they're asking their repetitive questions and you have those sources that can solve it. So this has kind of been a great starting point for a few of our beta customers.
Yeah. So, I see this stuff as like, a lot more advanced than many of the clients that I work with are ready for quite yet. It's like, if you don't even have a knowledge base that's been built, if you don't have a lot of this knowledge to feed this, you got to focus on that foundational stuff first before you can build an agent that's going to do anything useful for you, I think. So I'd love to kind of step back a little bit and talk more about like the day in the life of these, of the sales reps as they're using, or service reps, as they're using the calling features in their day to day. So you think of the sales rep, they're out there, a lot of them are driving and flying all around. They're jumping between meetings, 5, 6, plus meetings easily a day, sometimes in person, or they're power dialing, trying to get those meetings set up. Or maybe you're a service rep, you're on site doing, diagnosing some equipment that, needs to be worked on, or you're doing a new install, something like that. So some of the practical use cases for these reps, and how does this just like seamlessly flow into their day? Because I still see like some friction in how, folks are using their mobile devices and text messages and their office phones and HubSpot mobile apps and desktop to try to get all of their activities logged in there. And then it's like, well, what can this tool do for me? Like how do the transcriptions and, all this data now that's being fed in, how does that help me prep for future meetings or help me with my proposal? Like, how does that actually move things through that sales process, through that customer journey from lead to evangelist, and like, where does the calling feature kind of fit into my day? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So,
and I just want to show like this ticket record that we're seeing here. I know like this is like I'm not used to seeing, and I love seeing it for the first time, like a call generating a ticket record. with call notes on it. And so, yeah, I'd love for you to finish your thought here, Sarah.
Yeah.
Because another thing we want to solve for is, we want to be omni-channel.
Yep.
But customers are going to use whatever channel they feel like using, and there might be that support channel. But I love things like this to say, okay, these keywords, this needs to go to sales. We need to let sales know that this thing happened. So take us through real quick, like what we're seeing here, Sarah.
Yeah, so from the agent side, this happens even if you don't have an agent plugged into your channel. So the workspaces that Francis was alluding to, so you have like the Service Hub help desk, and then you also have like an inbox. So for this is an example then Service Hub. So because the customer agent is gonna, this one particularly is assigned to my Service Hub help desk. So when that inbound call came in, even though the AI agent wasn't able to pick up on the demo, it still gave a summary of like, this is what was potentially discussed. It's going to highlight any keynotes in the AI call summary. And I'll let Francis detail a bit more here, what's coming down the line. And it's going to give a summary all baked into the ticket here. Ideally, again, if this was a full conversation, you'd be able to play the full recording back. Or we can also go to, I don't know if you can see this next screen.
Might need to reshare.
Okay.
I love this next screen.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Actually, I'll just go to a different call record.
Because really, we're starting to understand, like our goal right now is just to help all the teams understand, like just trust like what's happening here, because just bringing all the data together is really just going to be the superpower, like what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and so it'll take that ideally from help desk or from inbox, either of the two workspaces. The rep can further dig into the call review page. Essentially, these pages, meeting review, also as we dig into like more conversational pieces, there'll be more like streamlined view, a holistic view of like the conversation that you had across calls and meetings. But it's going to kind of have, again, the similar breakdown when you can see speaker participation, you can see questions asked, track terms. Again, is one of those like topic tagging type of pieces for coaching where you can really dig in, are my sales rep, are they coaching our special for Q4 2025? How many of them are saying that term? And then you can actually break that down into reports. Similar thing with stats. Once I match the speakers, you'll be able to actually see like my talk time and monologue here, which is, again, very helpful for coaching if you have new reps coming in and you want them to, again, slow down their speaking or their pace and how they're asking questions and interruptions. And then, of course, the transcript is broken down. And then we have, again, another site of the AI call summary here, which is broken down, the ability to ask the question in Copilot. And then the live transcription, which I'll let Francis demo. This is a newer piece baked into here for that call review page. So a lot of information here in one kind of area for the call review. But again, the goal here is, are we giving you the insights that you can use with your sales and service reps? Because this is agnostic to both. Can you help them coach and get better? Now, this is, again, one-on-one view. We don't have like that full leveled up kind of aggregate view in HubSpot. But if you look at like some of the other larger coaching tools that a lot of our customers use, but we're headed there eventually to be able to give you more insights.
Yeah, and I think, like to Chris's point, it's just about, trust that as you're getting this data into HubSpot, that it's going to enable you to start leveraging it with things like Breeze. You can start, looking at all this unstructured data, and this is a great view for that one call. But then as you want to say, well, what's going on across multiple calls, or, as I want to start training agents to be able to access call records and do things, the more information you have in here, right, the more powerful this is going to be for you. So I think half the battle is just getting people to start just getting the data into the portal. And then as you start kind of getting enough of that, kind of critical mass, you can start doing things with all that data that are really powerful to help you as a sales rep or a service rep.
Yeah, I think that flywheel that you build once you get a little bit of data in, like the example that Sarah gave, you might turn on your agent and then you're tracking to see where are we missing resolutions for. You go in, you find the topics, create content, maybe using AI in HubSpot too. You generate that content, use it as a source for your agent, and now resolution rate goes up, self-service content goes up. So you kind of build a little flywheel where your reps and folks on the team can focus on the things that need their unique attention. But for things like, hey, my password won't work, help me reset, you have an agent that can handle that for you easily.
Yeah. and speaking of that, I just clicked around on my side, and like you could speak more to what you're seeing people do
Mhm.
with the transcripts, because so this was a call that we got last week on HubSpot Helpline, and like talk about the new projects object, right? So I was over here, I clicked on create track terms, right? And you'll receive an email in about 3 hours when you update your terms are ready for reporting. Let's add a category, say project, let's say HubSpot projects. And create, say projects. And we can add
Or maybe
more,
project object. There's another good
right,
one.
tasks. I can't, man, this is where, like, are you seeing people like come in and try to take this approach of like, all right, let's get the transcripts in and then let's figure it out? Do they feel like they need to figure out all the terms and then turn on calling? Like, how are people approaching it? Because what we do see is that you run into this last mile thing where it's like, okay, we're tracking everything now, everything's coming in, we don't know what to do, or we don't have time to like go through all this stuff. How are people dealing with that?
Yeah, so our goal is to make that simpler for you in 2026 and start actually surfacing like topics by default where you don't have to do any manual legwork. But the value in something like track terms is there's only so much granular, how granular can we get if we don't know every single company's objections and missions and what they're focused on for each quarter. So that is that tool where for the use cases for those businesses, again, on the sales side, if you're running special quarterly objectives or if you have special terms that your service reps, like if churn is just going through the window for your reps and you're like, what is going on these calls? You can put in those specific things. Also, a lot of like the competitor segment with, so many different competitors, generating each quarter. We don't know every single market. We don't know every single competitor in your region, in your state. So this is where you can really use the track terms areas to get a little more specific. And then something like that we're going to try to move on as quickly as possible in 2026 is highlighting things like topics where if there's like objection handling or things happening that are more common across all verticals and all industries, that's where we want to surface those for you. So hopefully that helps a bit, Chris. Like part of it we haven't built out yet, but we're headed there. And then the other part, track terms, is more like this is your ability to control what you want to surface, what you want to coach your reps on.
Yeah. And I think that's where we got to start. I think like a lot of the content and coaching that I do is like HubSpot can help you like execute the strategy, but you've got to decide what that strategy is. And a lot of what we're seeing right now is the shift towards kind of like we hope they go to this place and then convert on their own versus all the signals. This is where I get excited about AI. It's like, you don't necessarily know, you don't have to know which terms you want to track yet, but you can start to work with Breeze in lots of different places to say, hey, show me what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like which terms are coming up. Like we just lost this deal. It looked just like this other deal and that we won, but then we have access to tools now that say like, well, they use this word and I don't know how you guys didn't catch
Yeah, I mean,
that,
like,
but
how does it also like, kind of translate into customer sentiment? So how do I track if customers are happy or not with what's going on, or are we trending in these ways? You've seen some other kind of customer success tools out there that look at emails a lot, and they try to pull out customer sentiment and kind of float the ones up to the top where people may be upset with things. But are there plans or is there anything we're calling can really kind of start analyzing that sentiment and track that and report on that over time?
Yeah, there's some plans to continue to expand on sentiment in 2026. We have something similar that's not directly under calling, but feedback topics. I believe it's in beta right now. It gives us a similar kind of feel where you can actually like highlight across your different channels, like what topics are coming up. But yeah, like exactly CSAT for calling, that's still being worked on, but we will be, again, hopefully laddering that up so you don't have to do the manual work to highlight that.
I think something interesting you mentioned, right? That transcript is a treasure trove. There's a ton of information. We saw that's a call that happened, in the past, and you were still able to jump in there and extract insights. I think another exciting thing that we're working on is, let's say this was a missed opportunity and the rep didn't have a chance to mention, the HubSpot projects tool. Getting reps in real time while the conversation's happening, and being able to still use AI, still use, in this case, a live transcript to do the same thing another.
That's what you guys were hinting at earlier, talking about a little bit earlier, right? Is like using. Sorry, I have a little construction going on. I hope you guys. I can mute for a second.
Yeah, I think that's like all of the coaching, like at every level, like real time and after the fact and before the fact. There's so much opportunity to help teams. If we could just get them to the point of like, now it's not just the marketing people anymore asking you to fill out data because we say all these big bang reports and everything's. Well, we can't do it. We've proven we're not the best at coming through on that. But AI now can actually take this wealth of data and start to understand it in a way that we've always wanted to, but never really had the bandwidth, hard as we might try, to provide these kinds of insights. And that's what I'm excited about. Like, because even from a marketing, like the journeys and the Pathfinder and all the great tools that are coming out, like if you're not getting your call transcripts in here, you're not seeing the whole story, right?
Exactly. Like we mentioned, we're omni-channel, right? So aspirationally too, we do want to meet reps where they are in those situations where, you mentioned you might be on your cell phone and you're maybe doing a lot of SMS with your customers. If that SMS isn't being logged in HubSpot, if you're not manually logging it, that's a huge trove of information we're missing out on. But on our end, looking at something like one-to-one SMS in the next couple of years would be another area we'd be interested in. So kind of finding that capture wherever we can, using HubSpot number, all this stuff kind of works for you by default on day one if you don't mess with the portal settings. And so, that's kind of the goal. Keep reaching reps where they are so that they don't have to think, oh, do I go back and manually type out this long text thread, or is it already in there being fed into Breeze, being fed into reports, being fed into coaching opportunities?
So one thing I do want to just kind of, I know we're coming up on time, and before the guys start banging the hammers again, one thing I have heard from sales teams, and this is a concern from some of the sales reps, is that, I don't want every phone call, I don't want every text message, maybe logged into the CRM, especially in sales. Some of these folks have these long relationships. Things may not always be PC or exactly how HR might want you to handle things, right? Just being real here. So a lot of folks are hesitant to use some of these tools because they're like, I can't really either be authentic, or there's some things in here that, maybe a little bit of a gray area, but this is just how we're talking. So just something to think about, like how you can also try to handle some of those concerns. And I get it. Like in the first place, just maybe don't do those things. But there's the idealist, and then there's the realist in me. And
even be
the realist says like this kind of stuff happens, right?
Yeah, to be me sharing grandma's secret recipe for something, I don't want that in Breeze. So for a lot of the call stuff, the controls are very similar to recording. So I know a call's being recorded, I can pause the recording or stop a recording. Same thing will happen with the live transcript and that data being fed in. So very similar patterns on the voice front. And then when we do get to the SMS and other channels, then we'll have some sort of, this is what's being recorded and listed, and then here's what's kind of offline. So
yeah,
cool.
Well, I have really enjoyed this conversation today. I think it's fair to say, like, in most cases, for most people, HubSpot can support omni-channel. Like, I had not dove into the calling yet. I've been enjoying these call transcripts, and because it's coming in from Meet. Like, as I do Google Meets automatically, we're getting videos in here. So literally just helping people understand, like, all of the conversations. That's what we need in HubSpot. Whatever channel it's happening in, we got to get it in here. And when we do that, some really powerful things are going to start happening, thanks to AI and thanks to enabling other humans, to see what's going on. So Sarah, Francis, Zach, I appreciate you guys taking the time today. And for anybody else that wants to reach out, we've got beautiful people on the call. If you got questions, reach out and we'll get you started.
Cool.
Thanks so much,
Love to do
everybody.
love to do some more of this with you guys. Unbox some more. So thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Have a good one.